page are we on?
209.
Good men did not near their country ruin bring, but when evil men shall injuries begin, not caring to corrupt and violate the judgment seats for their own lucre's sake. Then look, that country cannot long have peace, though for the present it have rest and ease. That was a lot of strange language in there, wasn't it?
Yes.
Can anyone give me a quick idea of what is he saying there? And that's William Siemens, who's written that in the proceedings. Want me to tell you?
Yeah.
My interpretation, but it's really not necessarily be exactly right. You want to try it? Go ahead.
It's like now it's all good, and then but in the future it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, and right now you keep just wanting things that you don't deserve. Almost like you're just taking it for your own luxury, and you think everything's copacetic and everything's cool and relaxed, but just you wait and see. The tide's about to change. Right? So you had a good interpretation too. Oh, well, I mean, I'm thinking you're about right on. All right. So 209, the next morning, I am ready. My canoe, nestled in the rushes, has a bed of blankets, a jar of sweetened water, a clean rag, and a spoon for the baby, and a piece of bread, saved from last night's supper, for me. I go to Anne and John's cabin. Anne is busy wrapping up dried beef and bread for John, and John is trying to comfort a fussy Virginia. Oh, let me take her for a walk in the fresh air, I say. Then you can have some time together before the barge leaves. John gladly hands Virginia to me, and Anne ties Virginia's tiny bonnet on her and tells me to make sure I support her head, and I promise that I will. The fort is swarming with people. I walk by the crowds, out the gates, and I just keep going. I know there will be people outside the fort as well, so that my message will get back to Anne. At the canoe, I'm in luck. 2 little girls are washing clothes in the river. Oh, can we see Miss Lane's baby? One asks. I tilt Virginia down so they can admire her, being careful to support her head. I'm going to Point Comfort, I tell the girls as I climb into the canoe. Miss Layden will meet me there. I imagine the ruckus when Anne discovers Virginia is missing, and these 2 girls will be in the middle of it, crying out in their high voices that they saw me, and I said I was going to Point Comfort. I will have a head start by then, but I'm sure that Anne will be on her way, following me. That is what I'm counting on, that she will be on that barge with her husband. It will take hours to get to Point Comfort, but in my canoe, I will be quicker than the barge, even with breaks to feed the child. Virginia settles nicely on her bed of blankets and falls asleep as the canoe rocks in the water. I paddle out in the middle of the river, where a bit of current will speed me on my way. The trees on the shores have just begun to turn their autumn colors. The day is clear and warm, with a gentle wind. I have no fear of a storm blowing up to capsize us. What page am I on, boys and girls?
211.
Top of 211. 3 times I stop paddling when Virginia fusses to be fed. I spoon the sweetened water into her mouth. Then I dip the clean rag into the sweet water, give it to her to suck on, and she goes back to sleep. It is something I saw my mom do when she took care of a baby whose mother had died until she could find a wet nurse. It is late afternoon when we make it to the fort. I pull the canoe up on shore. Nathaniel is on watch, along with another soldier who is asleep. As I carry Virginia toward him, Nathaniel stares at me, open-mouthed. If someone's staring in open mouth, what emotion are they feeling?
Shock.
Disbelief.
Beautiful. Disbelief and shock. Awesome. Don't ask, I tell him. I'll explain later. But please, can I put her in your tent? Nathaniel shakes his head. I have to report you to Captain Davies, my commanding officer, he says. I groan. My ration of meat for a month? I offer him. His face lights up, and he leads me to his tent. I feed Virginia one more time and lay her down on a straw bed to sleep. She has wet through her blanket. I forgot all about diapers. Then I go out to the waterfront to wait for the barge to arrive. I knew she would be angry.
I think she's gonna slap his face off.
Furious even. I am not prepared for Anne's rage when she arrives at Point Comfort. I'll kill you! Anne shrieks, and she runs at me. Her hands are raised. I try to grab her wrist, but she's too wild. Her fingernails rake my face.
I knew it!
I feel stinging pain. I see my blood drip. Let me explain. I shout, but she is screaming too loudly to hear me. Thief! Murder! Hang him! She yells. John disembarks as well. What does disembark mean?
Tick
off, yeah. John disembarks as well. Are you mad? He shouts. He cuffs me hard. You deserve to be hanged. I start to panic. I have stolen a child. Will they hang me? But she is safe, I say. I did to keep her safe. Captain Davies takes me roughly by the arm. Don't worry, Mrs. Layden. He will be punished. Anne is sobbing now. Where is she? She demands. I see Nathaniel, looking terrified. He does not want to be a part of this. I put her in Nathaniel's tent, I say quickly, and that is all they need to know. I am dragged off by Captain Davies as Anne runs to find her baby. It is a makeshift brig, but it does the job. Shackles on my wrists and ankles do not allow me to move much. There is no window, just cracks through the between the rough boards that let me know when the sun has set. I am left with little water and a cold dirt floor to sleep on. For the theft of the child Virginia, what will be my sentence? Hanging? Whipping? I have seen whippings where at the end they are only flogging a corpse. Captain Smith said he wanted me alive and well when he returned to Jamestown. I may not be able to follow through on my promise. The worst of it is that I have failed. This has all been for nothing. Anne and Virginia will return to Jamestown tomorrow with the barge. And since this may be my last night on earth, I try to make my peace with God. I am sorry, I tell him. Sorry that I failed with James, and that now I have failed with Anne and Virginia. I hope that at least he understands that I meant no harm in stealing Virginia. I ask to please be taken up to heaven with my mom. In the dark, I huddle on the floor and wish for the peace of sleep. Captain Davies! The shout wakes me. It comes from the river, bottom page 213. Morning light slants into my cell. I hear clumsy paddle strokes and realize someone must be approaching in the canoe. Get Captain Davies now! The shout is closer. I hear footsteps, voices, someone out of breath. It was a trap! The man cries. The voices come near to my jail cell. I press my ear against the wall, hoping to hear. Captain Radcliffe and his men. Only a few escaped. I listen as he describes the horror. The men were lured to Wakamoco with promises of corn. Instead, they were attacked, their throats slit. Captain Radcliffe's end was even worse. He was tortured to death. I crouch against the wall, straining to hear, but the voices faded as the men walk away. I shake my head in despair. More men dead, and no corn brought back to Jamestown. A sound startles me. The scraping of the lock on the brig door. I get to my feet. It is time to face my sentence, my punishment.